The space between stars was silent and endless. It was the kind of silence that could make even brave people feel small. The human research ship Aurora Dawn drifted through this quiet darkness, its silver hull shining faintly under distant starlight. Inside the ship, Captain Daniel stood on the bridge watching the navigation screen. He was a man who had spent most of his life among the stars. His eyes carried calm strength, the kind that came from facing danger many times before. The Aurora Dawn was not a warship. It was built for exploration, mapping unknown regions and helping colonies far from Earth. Its crew was small, only 20 members, but they worked together like a family. They had crossed asteroid belts, gas clouds, and strange star systems where no human had ever gone. Every member of the crew trusted Daniel because he always made the right choice, even when things went wrong. That day, the crew was collecting samples near the edge of the Glavian Nebula. The nebula was a place of swirling colors, where blue and red gases formed shapes that looked alive. The sensors showed strange readings there, but Daniel thought it was only another mystery of space. Then something unexpected happened. A soft beeping sound filled the bridge. Officer Mira turned from her console and said, "Captain, I am picking up a weak distress signal. It looks very old, but it's still active." Daniel moved closer. "Can you trace it?" "Yes, sir," she replied. "It's coming from the outer edge of the nebula. The signal pattern doesn't match any human code." That made everyone look up. Non-human signals were rare in this region. The crew had heard of alien species in other parts of the galaxy, but humans had little contact with them. Daniel stared at the screen for a moment and then nodded. "Set a course. If someone is out there, we help them." The engines roared softly as the Aurora Dawn changed direction. The crew worked quickly, guiding the ship through bright clouds of gas. Lightning-like flashes moved across the nebula, but Daniel's hand stayed steady on the controls. After half an hour, they found the source of the signal. Floating in the darkness was a small escape pod. Its surface was covered with scratches and burn marks. The pod looked alien, made of crystal and metal mixed together. The distress light blinked weakly, a small spark of life in the cold void. "Bring it aboard," Daniel ordered. The crew used the ship's grappling arms to pull the pod into the cargo bay. Once it was inside, they gathered around it. The transparent dome at the top showed someone lying inside. When the pod opened with a soft hiss, they saw her. She was not human. Her skin was pale blue and faintly luminous. Her hair shimmered like silver water. Her clothes looked torn and burned as if she had escaped a great explosion. Despite her wounds, her face looked peaceful, almost gentle. She was young, maybe not older than 20 in human years. The ship's doctor, Alan, rushed forward and began scanning her with medical equipment. "She's alive but very weak," he said. "Her oxygen level is low and she has several injuries." Daniel helped carry her to the medical bay. As they laid her on the bed, she moved slightly and whispered something in a language they could not understand. Her voice was soft but full of fear. "Try to translate that," Daniel said to Mira. Mira used the translator. After a few moments, the machine produced a rough version of her words. She said, "Help me." They treated her carefully. Hours passed, and the alien girl's breathing grew stronger. When she opened her eyes, everyone froze. Her eyes were bright silver, like two small moons. She looked around the room, confused but not hostile. When she saw Daniel, she stared for a long moment before speaking again. This time the translator worked better. "Where am I?" she asked weakly. "You are on the human ship Aurora Dawn," Daniel replied calmly. "We found your pod drifting near the nebula. You are safe here." She looked at her hands, then at him again. "You are human?" "Yes," Daniel said. "My name is Daniel. What is yours?" She hesitated before answering. "I am Alara, Princess Alara of the Vereen Empire." The crew exchanged quick glances. A princess was not someone they expected to find in deep space. Daniel spoke kindly. "It is an honor to meet you, Princess. You were badly hurt. We will contact your people once you are strong enough." Alara nodded slowly. "Thank you. I did not expect help from your kind. My ship was destroyed by raiders. I escaped before the explosion." "You are safe now," Daniel said. "Rest, we will take care of you." Over the next few days, Alara recovered. She was quiet at first, keeping her thoughts to herself, but the crew treated her with warmth and respect. They brought her food, showed her around the ship, and answered her many questions. She was surprised by how open and friendly they were. In her empire, people rarely spoke freely to royalty. Here everyone smiled and joked, even with the captain. One evening, Alara walked into the observation deck. The large glass wall showed a beautiful view of the nebula. The colors moved slowly like waves of light. Daniel was there looking at the stars. "It is beautiful," she said softly. He smiled. "Yes, space can be quiet, but it also reminds us how small we are." "In the Vereen Empire, we do not look at the stars this way," Alara said. "We see them only as places to rule or defend. But you humans, you look at them as wonders." Daniel turned to her. "We explore because we want to learn. There is always something new beyond the next star." She looked at him with curiosity. "You risk your lives just to learn? Even when you gain nothing," he nodded. "Knowledge and kindness are their own rewards." Alara thought about his words. In her world, people acted only for power or duty. Kindness was often seen as weakness. Yet this human ship had saved her without asking anything in return. She felt something unfamiliar inside her chest, something warm. That night she could not sleep. She remembered the faces of the crew. She remembered Mira's laughter, Alan's calm hands, and Daniel's steady voice. They were all so different, yet they worked together as one. Humans, she realized, had something her people lacked. They had heart. The next morning, the Aurora Dawn tried to contact the Vereen Empire. But the communication system showed interference from the nebula. Mira frowned. "The signal can't get through. We might have to leave this region first." Daniel agreed. "Plot a course toward open space. We'll send the message again when we're clear." As they prepared to leave, the radar showed movement. Small ships were approaching fast. Mira's voice grew tense. Multiple contacts detected. They matched the radar pattern from Princess Alara's ship. Alara's eyes widened. "They are hunting me. They will not stop." Daniel looked calm but firm. "We will not hand you over. You cannot fight them," she said. "Their ships are armed with plasma cannons." "We will find a way," Daniel replied. The crew moved quickly to battle stations. The Aurora Dawn was not made for combat, but humans were creative. Daniel ordered the ship to hide inside a dense asteroid field. The raiders followed, firing wildly. Asteroids shattered around them, but Daniel's quick thinking saved the ship again and again. He used the field's gravity and reflections to confuse enemy sensors. At one point, the Aurora Dawn turned sharply and released mining drones. The drones exploded near the raiders, creating bright flashes that blinded their scanners. The enemy ships collided with asteroids, one after another. When the dust cleared, only silence remained. Alara watched from the bridge, amazed. "You defeated them." Without superior weapons, Daniel smiled. "Sometimes courage and clever thinking are stronger than firepower." Alara stepped closer. "Why would you risk your lives for me? You do not even know me." Daniel looked at her with steady eyes. "Because helping someone in need is what makes us human." Those words stayed in her heart long after the battle ended. She began to see humanity not as weak explorers, but as a race of strong spirits who stood for what was right even when the universe turned dark. And somewhere deep inside, the alien princess began to feel a quiet connection to the human captain who had shown her what true courage meant. The engines of the Aurora Dawn hummed quietly as the ship drifted through the edge of the Glavian Nebula. The crew was alert but calm, their faces tired from the battle with the raiders. Smoke still curled from one of the damaged panels, and small sparks blinked in the dim light. Yet despite the danger, a sense of pride filled the air. They had survived. Princess Alara stood near the main viewport, watching the colors of the nebula fade into the darkness of open space. Her silver eyes reflected the glowing clouds, and her mind replayed the events that had just happened. She had seen humans fight not for power, not for gold, but for someone they barely knew. It felt strange and beautiful. Captain Daniel entered the bridge. His uniform was torn and a small cut marked his cheek, but his expression was calm. He walked to Alara's side and asked, "How are you feeling, Princess?" She turned to him slowly. "Better now. You saved me again, Captain." "I do not know how to thank you." Daniel shook his head. "No thanks needed. You're our guest. Keeping you safe is our duty," Alara smiled faintly. "Duty? It feels more like kindness." Daniel did not answer right away. He looked at the stars instead. "Maybe both." The quiet moment was interrupted when Officer Mira spoke from her console. "Captain, communication system is still weak." The nebula's interference damaged the long-range transmitter. "It will take a few hours to repair." Daniel nodded. "Understood. Keep working on it. We need to contact the Vereen Empire before more raiders show up." "Yes, sir." Alara turned to Daniel again. You really mean to send me back to my people? He looked at her carefully. That's the plan. You belong with them. For a moment, something unreadable passed over her face. Perhaps. But I am not sure they will see things the same way after this. What do you mean? She hesitated before answering. My empire values strength and control above all. They think kindness is weakness. When they learn that humans protected me, they may not understand. Some might even see it as shame. Daniel studied her expression. If they think that, they're wrong. Compassion is not weakness. It's what gives meaning to strength. Alara lowered her eyes. I wish my people could see it as you do. Hours passed. The engineers worked hard to fix the transmitter. In the mess hall, the crew shared jokes and stories as they repaired equipment. Alara watched them with quiet amazement. On her world, workers never joked in the presence of royalty. Here, even the captain joined the laughter. Mira approached Alara with a tray of warm food. You should eat something. Human food may not be like yours, but it helps after a scare like that. Alara smiled politely and tried a spoonful. It tastes strange, but not bad. You all seem so calm after battle. Mira chuckled. That's the secret of humans. We worry later. First we fix the problem. Is that what makes you strong? Alara asked. Maybe, Mira said with a wink. Or maybe we're just too stubborn to give up. When Alara laughed, it was soft and light. Mira looked pleased to see her relax. The crew had started calling her Princess Blue, a name that made her smile, though she never said it aloud. Later, Daniel gathered everyone on the bridge. Listen up, everyone. We're leaving the nebula and heading for the nearest relay station. Once we're clear, we'll send a message to the Vereen fleet. I don't want another ambush. The crew nodded and returned to their stations. The Aurora Dawn glided out of the nebula, stars shining brighter as the colored gas thinned away. But just as they reached open space, the radar beeped again. Mira frowned and looked at her screen. Captain, multiple energy signatures ahead. Looks like another group of ships. Daniel's voice stayed calm. Are they Vereen or Raiders? Mira checked the data. Not sure yet. Their design doesn't match either one. The tension in the air grew. Alara stepped closer, her voice low. There are other powers near this region. Some would capture me to demand ransom from my father. If these are not my people, they could be even worse than raiders. Daniel gave his orders quickly. Prepare for evasive maneuvers. Charge the shield generators. The unknown ships drew closer. Their hulls glowed faint green and their weapons looked sharp and curved. Within minutes, a transmission came through. A deep voice echoed across the speakers. Human vessel, you are carrying property of the Vereen Empire. Release the prisoner and surrender. The crew stared at the speaker. Alara's eyes widened. That voice belongs to the Clearan Syndicate. They are enemies of my people. If they capture me, they will force the Vereen Empire into war. Daniel replied firmly. This is Captain Daniel of the human ship Aurora Dawn. The person you speak of is not property. She is under our protection. There was silence for a moment, then the enemy voice laughed coldly. Protection? You humans have no power in this region. Surrender now or be destroyed. Daniel turned off the channel. Not a chance. The ship shook as the first wave of plasma fire struck the shields. Sparks flew across the bridge. The crew moved fast, following Daniel's calm voice. Evasive pattern Delta. Keep the ship moving. Don't let them lock on. The Aurora Dawn darted between floating rocks and fragments of old ships. The smaller size of the human vessel worked in their favor. While the Syndicate ships had stronger weapons, they were slower to turn. Daniel used the ship's sensors to detect a cluster of unstable asteroids nearby. We'll lead them through there, he said. If we time it right, the debris field will do our work for us. Alara watched the plan unfold with growing awe. Daniel's eyes were sharp and focused. Every move he made seemed guided by instinct. When a large piece of rock exploded, the shockwave tore through 2 Syndicate ships. The others tried to chase, but the humans slipped behind a thick cloud of dust and vanished from their scanners. After several tense minutes, Mira let out a long breath. We lost them, Captain. Daniel nodded. Good work, everyone. Let's check for damage. The crew cheered softly. Alara turned to Daniel and said quietly, You fight with wisdom, not pride. My people could learn much from you. He smiled slightly. We fight to live another day, Princess. Pride doesn't win battles. People do. When the danger had passed, they stopped near a small moon to make repairs. The ship floated in orbit, and the crew worked outside in suits, sealing hull cracks and fixing antennas. Alara helped by organizing supplies and learning to use human tools. She was clumsy at first, but the crew encouraged her kindly. As the repairs finished, she stood beside Daniel on the observation deck. The moon below them was covered with white ice, shining like a mirror. "Your world must be very beautiful," Daniel said. "It is," Alara replied softly. "But it has no sky like this. Our cities are built under domes of glass and light. We forgot what the open stars look like." Daniel looked thoughtful. "Maybe that's why you seem sad sometimes." She smiled faintly. "Perhaps. You humans live with so much uncertainty, yet you find joy in it. That is something my people do not understand." Daniel turned toward her. "You will teach them someday. You'll show them that hope is stronger than fear." Alara's eyes softened. "You speak as if you know me well." "I know courage when I see it," he replied. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The quiet hum of the ship filled the air, and the stars outside shimmered like distant fires. Then a light blinked on Mira's console. "Captain, the transmitter is fixed. We can send a message now." Daniel nodded. "Send a signal to the Vereen command. Tell them we found their princess and request escort coordinates." Mira worked quickly. "Message sent, sir. It may take some time for them to respond." Daniel looked at Alara. "Soon you'll be home." She looked down, her voice soft. Home, yes, but inside her heart she felt torn. The Aurora Dawn had become more than a rescue ship. It had become a place where she felt free. A place where people saw her not as a princess, but as a person. Later that night, she walked alone through the corridors, listening to the soft hum of the engines. She stopped near the window that looked out into space. Her reflection appeared beside the stars, and she whispered quietly to herself, "How strange. I thought humans were weak, but now I see they are strong in ways we never imagined." The stars shimmered outside like silent witnesses. Somewhere deep in her heart, Princess Alara knew her journey with the humans was changing her. The Vereen Empire might not be ready for the truths she had learned, but she was, and far from any world in the quiet of deep space. An alien princess and a human captain continued their journey together, unaware that their courage and friendship would soon shape the future of two civilizations. The Aurora Dawn sailed smoothly through open space. The stars outside looked calm again, but inside the ship everyone was tired. The battles, repairs, and long hours had taken their toll. Still, the mood was lighter now. The crew had grown used to having Princess Alara among them. She no longer seemed like a visitor from another world. She was part of their small family. Alara had learned much about humans. She helped in small ways, organizing data files and assisting the doctor with reports. She often joined Mira in the control room, asking questions about human space travel. Her curiosity never seemed to end. "Why do you explore so far from your home?" she asked one morning while the ship cruised near a quiet star system. Mira smiled as she typed on her console. "Because we always want to know what's out there. Humans get restless when they stop learning." Alara nodded slowly. "On my world, people are told where to go and what to do. Only those of royal blood can make choices. The rest must follow orders." "That sounds hard," Mira said. "Here, everyone can choose their own path, at least most of the time." Alara looked thoughtful. "Your world must be full of dreamers." Mira laughed softly. "It is, and sometimes that is what keeps us alive." The conversation stayed in Alara's mind for hours. She had always believed her royal life was a blessing. Now she began to see that it was also a cage. The humans had less power, fewer resources, and smaller ships. Yet they lived with more freedom than anyone in her empire. That evening, Captain Daniel called a meeting on the bridge. "We received a message from the Vereen Empire," he said. "Their flagship is on its way to meet us. They will arrive in 24 hours. The crew exchanged looks. Relief mixed with sadness. Their mission was almost over. They had saved the princess, survived battles, and were now bringing her home. But many of them had grown fond of her. The ship would feel emptier without her." Alara stood quietly beside Daniel. "Thank you, Captain," she said. "You have done more for me than I can ever repay." Daniel nodded. "We only did what anyone should. You belong with your people, Princess," her eyes lowered. "Perhaps. Yet I do not feel like I belong there anymore." Daniel wanted to ask what she meant, but before he could, the alarm sounded. Mira looked up sharply. "Captain, new ships detected." "They are approaching fast. More raiders?" Daniel asked. Mira shook her head. "No, these are Vereen ships. They are sending a royal identification code." The crew sighed with relief. The large Vereen cruisers appeared soon after. Their smooth silver hulls glowed in the starlight. The Aurora Dawn looked small beside them. A voice came through the speakers, formal and proud. "Human vessel, this is the Vereen flagship Sovereign Light. We are here to recover Princess Alara. Prepare for boarding." Daniel answered calmly. "Acknowledged. We are ready to receive your team." Minutes later, bright light filled the cargo bay as a Vereen shuttle landed. Tall soldiers in silver armor stepped out, followed by a man dressed in white robes. His face was stern, his eyes cold. "Princess Alara," he said sharply, "your father, the Emperor, awaits your return. You have caused great worry." Alara bowed slightly. "I am grateful for your concern, Commander. The humans saved my life." The commander looked at Daniel and his crew with a mix of disdain and suspicion. "Yes, the humans. The Emperor will be informed." His tone made it clear that he did not consider that a compliment. Daniel stood straight but polite. "We are honored to have helped, Commander. She was a guest on our ship." The commander gave a short nod but did not smile. "You will deliver all data and recordings related to the princess's rescue. Our Empire will handle the rest." Daniel met his cold stare. "Of course." When the soldiers turned away, Alara stayed behind. Her eyes met Daniel's. "I do not want to leave like this," she whispered. Daniel spoke softly so only she could hear. "It's your home, Princess. Your people need you." "But they do not understand," she said. "They see only rank and rule. You and your crew see something else. You see people?" He smiled faintly. "Maybe someday they will see it too. Maybe you will show them." Her heart ached as she followed the soldiers to the shuttle. She looked back one last time. Daniel stood there, calm and proud, watching her go. The Vereen ships left soon after. The Aurora Dawn continued on its journey, quiet and lonely. The crew missed the laughter and curiosity of their alien guest. For Daniel, the silence of the stars felt heavier than ever. Far away on the Vereen homeworld, Alara stood before her father, Emperor Taran. His throne room was vast, made of shining glass and silver. Guards lined the walls, their armor gleaming. The Emperor's eyes studied her carefully. "My daughter," he said, "your return brings relief to our people. But we have questions. You were rescued by humans. Is that true?" "Yes, father," Alara answered firmly. "They saved me from raiders. Without them, I would be dead." The Emperor's expression hardened. "Humans are a young and reckless race. Their motives are never pure." "They asked for nothing," she said quickly. "They risked their lives for me." "Out of ignorance, not honor," he replied coldly. "You will remember who you are, Alara. A princess of the Vereen Empire does not owe gratitude to lesser beings." Her heart burned with quiet anger. "If being royal means forgetting kindness, then I do not wish to be proud of that title." Gasps echoed across the hall. The Emperor's face darkened, but he said nothing. Alara bowed slightly and left the chamber. That night she stood alone on her balcony looking at the stars. The twin moons of her planet glowed softly. Her thoughts drifted back to the Aurora Dawn, to the laughter of Mira, the calm voice of Daniel, and the warmth of the human crew. In that moment, she made a choice. She would not let her people forget what she had seen. Humanity was not weak. They were brave, kind, and strong in ways her empire could not understand. Over the next days, she began speaking with scholars and council members. She told them about the humans who had saved her, about their courage and their hearts. Some listened with interest, others with doubt. But slowly her words began to spread. "Humans fight not for power but for hope," she said during one meeting. "They help others not because of orders but because of compassion. That is strength. That is honor." Some of the younger officers started to agree with her. "Perhaps we have been wrong," one of them said quietly. "Maybe the humans have something our empire lost long ago." The Emperor heard these whispers and grew uneasy. He called Alara again. "You speak too freely," he warned. "You forget your place." "I remember it clearly," she said. "My place is to guide our people toward truth. The humans showed me what it means to care without reward." "You are blinded by sentiment," the Emperor said. "Do not bring weakness into our halls." She met his eyes. "Kindness is not weakness, father. It is strength we have forgotten." The Emperor said nothing. He turned away, ending the conversation. Weeks passed. Alara continued her quiet efforts. She wrote a report about her time with the Aurora Dawn, describing how the humans protected her and defeated the raiders with courage, teamwork, and clever thinking. The council read it with interest. Some mocked it, but others found inspiration. On the Aurora Dawn, life returned to normal. The crew explored a new region of space, but Daniel often found himself looking at the stars and thinking of Alara. Mira noticed his silence one evening. "You miss her, don't you?" Daniel smiled slightly. "She was special, brave and curious. I hope she's safe." "She's a princess," Mira said kindly. "She'll be fine." "Maybe," Daniel replied, "but the galaxy has a way of testing even the strong." One quiet night on the Vereen homeworld, Alara stood again on her balcony. A messenger drone flew toward her carrying a small glowing message crystal. When she activated it, a familiar voice filled the air. "From Captain Daniel of the Aurora Dawn to Princess Alara of the Vereen Empire. We thank you for your friendship and wish peace for your people. Humanity will always remember your kindness." Alara smiled softly, her eyes bright with emotion. She placed the crystal near her heart and whispered, "And I will remember yours." As the twin moons rose higher, she made a silent vow. She would honor the humans who had shown her the meaning of courage. She would not let her empire forget that the smallest of races could carry the greatest of hearts. In her soul, the bond between a human captain and an alien princess had become something stronger than duty. It was hope, a bridge between two worlds. The calm that had returned after the Aurora Dawn's escape from the raiders did not last long. Reports from the outer sectors revealed that the Clyran Syndicate was not a small group of raiders, but part of a larger enemy fleet moving toward both human and Vereen space. Their fleet was vast and well-armed, threatening to destroy entire colonies before anyone could respond. Captain Daniel stood on the bridge of the Aurora Dawn, looking at the incoming fleet on the holographic map. The Syndicate ships were faster and more numerous than anything he had faced before. "Mira, calculate the odds," he said calmly. Mira frowned at the console. "The numbers are not in our favor. Even combined with nearby human fleets, the Syndicate could overwhelm us in days." Daniel did not flinch. "Then we fight smarter. We do not retreat. We find the weak points in their formation, and we use teamwork to survive." Alara had insisted on joining the Council of Strategy. Despite being a princess, she had studied the Syndicate tactics during her capture, and her insight proved invaluable. "Their ships rely on tight formations," she explained. "If we separate them, their numbers will work against them." Daniel nodded. "Good. Prepare a joint human Vereen fleet. Alara, you will guide us with your knowledge of their strategy." The alliance was uneasy at first. Vereen soldiers did not trust humans, and humans did not trust the Vereen, even after Alara's reports. But the threat of the Syndicate left no room for doubt. In the next few days, the fleets assembled. Humans and Vereen trained together, practicing maneuvers and sharing tactics. Alara moved between the two groups, teaching respect and cooperation. Finally, the day of battle arrived. The enemy fleet emerged from hyperspace in a long line that stretched across the void. Their green energy weapons glowed in the dark, ready to destroy anything in sight. Daniel's fleet, though smaller, moved in careful formation. He looked at Alara, standing on the bridge of her flagship beside him. "Are you ready?" he asked. Alara's silver eyes met his. "Yes, we fight together, Daniel. We cannot fail." Daniel gave a firm nod. "Then let's protect every life we can." The battle began with blinding light and deafening sound. The Syndicate's weapons fired on the human fleet immediately. Explosions rippled across space as ships were damaged. Daniel ordered evasive maneuvers, guiding the Aurora Dawn through a series of tight loops and sudden turns. He relied on instinct, timing, and the unique design of the human ship. Alara's knowledge proved critical. She instructed the fleet to focus attacks on the Syndicate's supply vessels first. Without supplies, even their strongest ships could not fight for long. Human and Vereen pilots worked together, sharing targeting information and covering each other during retreats. During the fight, Daniel noticed a large Syndicate cruiser moving toward Alara's flagship. Its weapons locked on her ship. He shouted to his crew, "Hold nothing back. We protect her at all costs." The Aurora Dawn raced toward the cruiser, dodging lasers and firing every available weapon. Daniel's hands moved with precision, his mind calculating trajectories and shield capacities faster than anyone else could. A lucky shot disabled the cruiser's engines just as it reached Alara's ship. Alara watched from her command deck, her heart racing. "Captain Daniel, you risked everything for me," she said softly, her voice almost lost in the noise of battle. He replied calmly, "I do not fight for you alone. I fight for everyone who cannot fight for themselves. The battle raged for hours. Many ships were lost and debris floated through the void like silent witnesses to the war. Daniel's fleet used clever strategies, ambushes, and traps, but it came at a cost. Human and Virene lives were lost, and every survivor felt the weight of each sacrifice. During the final phase of the battle, Daniel received a critical warning. "Captain, the Syndicate flagship is charging a superweapon capable of destroying this sector," Mira said urgently. Daniel's jaw tightened. "We cannot let that happen. Alara, can your fleet get close enough to disrupt it?" Alara studied the holographic map. "Yes, but it will be dangerous. We can only get one chance at this." Daniel nodded. "Then we take that chance. Prepare the boarding teams and attack drones. We go in together." The fleets moved as one. Alara's flagship led the charge, with the Aurora Dawn flanking her. They weaved through fire and explosions, dodging the superweapon's energy beams. Daniel's ship took a direct hit to the hull, sending sparks flying across the bridge. The shields held for a moment, then flickered. "Hull breach in Section 3, the engineer shouted. Daniel's voice remained steady. "Seal the breach and keep moving. Focus on the target." Alara's voice came over the comm.
"Daniel, the boarding team is ready."
"You can disable the superweapon from inside." He glanced at her. "I'll go. Keep the fleet covered," Alara nodded. "Be careful. Every life counts." Daniel and a small team of skilled humans boarded the enemy ship. Inside, the corridors were dark and tense. The Syndicate crew fought fiercely, but Daniel's team moved with calm precision. Every step was calculated. Every action had purpose. They planted charges on the weapon's power core, navigating through enemy fire with skill and courage. Finally, Daniel reached the core. He placed the final charge and began retreating with his team. The weapon exploded in a brilliant flash of green light. The shockwave disabled the rest of the Syndicate fleet, and many of their ships drifted powerless into space. Alara watched the explosion from her flagship, her silver eyes wide. She turned to her crew and said, "Look at what humans can do. Their courage does not depend on size or strength. It comes from within." The battle ended with heavy losses on both sides, but the galaxy had been saved. Human and Virene ships regrouped, counting their survivors. Alara's people finally saw what she had tried to show them. Humans, though small in number, had hearts that could move mountains. On the bridge of the Aurora Dawn, Daniel sat quietly, exhausted but alive. Alara entered, her presence calm and steady. She held out a hand to him. "You risked your life for my people and for mine," she said. "You are more than a captain. You are a true hero." Daniel looked at her hand, then into her eyes. "I did what anyone should. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves." Alara smiled softly. "But not everyone would have done what you did. Your people are remarkable, and you are extraordinary among them." Daniel shook his head, humility in his voice. "I am just a man. The crew did this together. Every human aboard this ship is a hero." She looked at him with admiration and a quiet, unspoken emotion. Her silver eyes glimmered as she whispered, "If only my people could see what I see." The fleet celebrated quietly that night, though the losses weighed heavily on all. Alara stayed near Daniel, speaking to him about the future and what she had learned. "Humans are different from anything I imagined. You fight, you laugh, and you hope. Even when the universe is against you, that is a gift my empire has almost forgotten." Daniel placed a hand gently on hers. "Maybe your people will learn from you, Princess. Maybe they will see that courage and kindness are stronger than any weapon." Alara nodded, feeling a quiet determination inside her. She would not forget what she had witnessed. She would carry the story of humanity back to her empire. She would make sure they understood that small beings with hearts full of courage could accomplish the impossible. That night, as the fleets rested and repairs continued, Alara stood on the observation deck of her flagship, staring at the stars. The silver moons of distant worlds glimmered in the distance. She whispered to herself, "I will not let their sacrifice be forgotten. I will honor them always." In the darkness of space, the bond between human and alien had grown stronger. Daniel had shown Alara what true courage meant. The human crew had proven that even the smallest of beings could change the course of a galaxy. And somewhere in her heart, Princess Alara knew that the story of this battle, and the bravery she had witnessed, would live on forever. The war had been hard, the losses great, but the victory had proven something that could not be measured by ships or weapons. It was the power of the heart, the strength of unity, and the courage to fight for what is right, and in that truth, Alara found hope, a hope that would guide both humans and Virene toward a future of respect, friendship, and shared courage. The galaxy was quiet after the war. Human and Virene fleets patrolled their borders, repairing colonies and helping survivors. The Clyran Syndicate had been defeated, and the balance of power returned to its fragile peace. But for Captain Daniel and Princess Alara, the events of the past weeks had left marks that would never fade. Daniel sat on the bridge of the Aurora Dawn, staring at the stars. The hum of the ship was calming after the chaos of battle. He had seen courage, bravery, and sacrifice on levels he had never imagined. He thought of his crew, exhausted but proud. He thought of Alara, the princess who had risked herself alongside them and taught them lessons about hope and unity. Alara's flagship hovered nearby, preparing to return her to the Virene Empire. Despite the peace, the Virene leadership remained cautious. Many of their soldiers still mistrusted humans, and the Emperor's approval was measured. Yet Alara felt a quiet satisfaction in knowing that the story of human bravery had reached her people. They were beginning to see what she had learned firsthand. Strength is not just about weapons or rank, it is about courage, kindness, and heart. The day of her farewell arrived. The Aurora Dawn and Alara's ship met in orbit above a peaceful moon. The crew prepared a small ceremony to honor the bond formed during the crisis. Flags of Earth and the Virene Empire fluttered in holographic displays. For a brief moment, the galaxy seemed united, if only in this quiet orbit. Alara stepped onto the Aurora Dawn, walking slowly among the crew. Each human greeted her warmly, a small bow or a smile. Mira gave her a soft nod. Alan offered a steady hand, and the rest of the crew showed quiet respect. Daniel stood near the control console, his expression calm, but his eyes betrayed the emotions he felt. Alara approached him, her silver eyes meeting his. She spoke first. "Captain Daniel, I owe you more than words can describe. You and your people saved my life, guided my people, and showed me a truth I never expected." Daniel shook his head gently. "It was nothing beyond what any human would do. We help those who need it, Princess. That is what makes us human." Alara smiled faintly, a mixture of warmth and sadness. "You speak as humbly as you act. I have traveled many worlds, seen many races, but none have shown me such courage and honor." Daniel's voice was quiet. "You have courage too, Princess. You stood with us, guided us, and risked yourself for the greater good. That is true bravery." Alara's heart beat faster, and for a moment silence filled the bridge. She wanted to speak the words that had formed in her mind since the first moments she met Daniel. The bond they shared was beyond duty or politics. It was trust, respect, and something deeper, something she had never experienced in the structured halls of her empire. "Finally," she whispered, just for him to hear. "If only I could marry someone like you, human." Daniel froze for a moment, taken aback, but he did not speak. He understood the weight of her words. It was not just admiration or gratitude. It was the recognition of a connection that crossed worlds, species, and duty. The words lingered in the quiet hum of the ship, stronger than any sound of battle. Alara smiled softly, tears forming in her eyes, but she held them back. "But duty calls me home. My empire needs me, and I must honor it." Daniel nodded slowly, keeping his voice steady. "Then we honor our duties, Princess. But know this. Your courage, your heart, and your spirit will not be forgotten by me or my crew." Alara turned toward the exit ramp. Each step felt heavy. She had grown attached to the humans, their laughter, their kindness, and the bravery that had defied every expectation. She would leave this place with more than memories. She would leave knowing that humanity had changed her perspective, not just on her own people, but on the universe itself. Before stepping back onto her ship, she paused and looked at Daniel one last time. "Thank you, Captain Daniel. You have shown me what it means to be strong in ways my people do not yet understand. I will carry this lesson with me always." Daniel bowed his head slightly, honoring the gesture. "And we will remember you, Princess Alara. You have shown us the meaning of hope." The shuttle lifted from the Aurora Dawn, carrying Alara back to her flagship. The engines glowed as it ascended, leaving a trail of light against the backdrop of stars. Daniel watched silently, feeling the mix of pride and loss. He had saved lives, led courage into battle, and now had witnessed a bond that went beyond the ordinary. On the Virene flagship, Alara stood before her crew and officers. Humans are not weak, she said firmly. They fight with courage that cannot be measured by weapons or numbers. They act out of compassion and honor, and in that they are strong. Remember what you have seen. Her words resonated among the Virene soldiers. For the first time, many of them felt respect for humans. The stories of the battle, the bravery of Daniel, and the cooperation of two very different races inspired a new perspective. Some officers even suggested new joint exercises with humans to honor the bond Alara described. Weeks passed. The Virene Empire and Earth began formal communication. Treaties were drafted, sharing knowledge, resources, and technology. Trade routes opened between the two civilizations and cultural exchanges began. Alara took an active role in shaping this new friendship. She ensured that the story of human courage, kindness, and intelligence would be known across her empire. Back on Earth, Daniel stood among the crew of the Aurora Dawn. The ship was repaired and ready for new missions, but the experience had left an indelible mark on all of them. Mira Allen and the others often spoke of Alara's bravery and the lessons they had learned. They understood that humanity's true strength lay not just in technology or tactics, but in the heart of its people. One quiet evening, Daniel looked at the stars, imagining Alara standing on her balcony, looking at the same sky. He hoped she was safe and proud. He whispered to himself, "She will change the galaxy, one heart at a time." Alara, on her flagship, looked out at the vast universe and thought of the humans who had shown her what true courage and kindness meant. She knew that no matter where her duties took her, the lessons of the Aurora Dawn would stay with her. She would honor the humans' sacrifices and bravery, and she would carry their story to every corner of her empire. Months later, a ceremony took place on the Virene homeworld. Statues were raised in the memory of the battle. One statue depicted a human in a captain's uniform standing beside an alien princess. The plaque read, "To honor courage, kindness, and the bond that united two worlds." People from both civilizations visited the site. Children were told stories of the brave humans who saved a princess, and of the princess who taught her empire to see the value of heart. The tale became a legend, reminding future generations that strength is measured by more than power. It is measured by bravery, compassion, and the willingness to fight for what is right. Alara often returned to the balcony of her palace, watching the stars, remembering Daniel and the humans of the Aurora Dawn. She held a small crystal, glowing softly with a message Daniel had sent before the fleets dispersed. She touched it gently and whispered, "Thank you, Daniel. I will never forget you." Daniel, meanwhile, continued his journeys through space, carrying the memory of the alien princess who had taught him that courage and friendship could cross the boundaries of species and worlds. In his heart, he knew that somewhere out there, Alara looked at the same stars and remembered him. Though distance separated them, the bond they had formed during the trials of war and survival endured. It was a quiet connection of respect, admiration, and something deeper, a reminder that even in a vast and sometimes cruel universe, the human heart could inspire hope in the hearts of others. And so the story of Captain Daniel and Princess Alara became a legacy. Across galaxies, humans and aliens alike remembered the courage of one small human crew and the alien princess who dared to see beyond duty. They reminded all who heard the story that true strength comes not from domination, but from the courage to act with honor, the kindness to care, and the wisdom to see value in every life. In the quiet of space, as stars twinkled and new worlds awaited exploration, the memory of that journey lived on. A human captain had shown an alien princess the meaning of bravery, and in return she had changed the future of her empire forever. And for Alara, one thought lingered above all others, a gentle whisper to the stars. "If only I could marry someone like you, human." The galaxy remembered, and humanity shone a little brighter for it.